So like many of you, you might have an iPhone. It's got a lot of glass, right? And, you know, sometimes you just drop it, or other times you do stuff like that. Luckily, I caught it. But if I didn't, the glass might not break, because Corning, 50 years ago, developed glass that is largely shatterproof. It had the unwieldy madman name of Chemcore back then, and they have rebranded it Gorilla Glass. Jim Flaws is Vice Chairman and Chief Financial Officer for Corning. And, Jim, I just threw my iPhone in the air. Luckily, I caught it. But had I dropped it, right, decent hands, I guess, had I dropped it, you guys are trying to make sure that the glass is a lot more sturdy. How you doing it?
We do it through something as a chemical processing, Brian. It's actually a very thin glass, just like our LCD glass, that goes through a subsequent strengthening step, a chemical bath, makes the surface very durable. It's also very scratch-proof, in addition to being very strong. So you have a high likelihood of not breaking it when you drop it.
And this is a product that you developed, I believe, back in 1962, originally called Chemcore. At what point did somebody at Corning say, whoa, you know, there's a lot of modern-day applications for this?
It was about 3 years ago that we started to see touch devices on handheld phones start to emerge, and there was a need to have something better than plastic on them. So we actually got the request, did we have a stronger glass? And we keep all our research from the past, and we recognized that this was an opportunity for us to bring back this process that we had invented a long time ago, and it worked out very well.
Yeah, obviously cell phones and my foolish experiment here, but also flat panel TVs and everything in between. How big could the market be, and do you have any competitors in this? So if, you know, a manufacturer of any of the devices we talked about wants to have this type of glass, do they have to come to Corning?
Well, we do have some competition, but right now our market share is approaching 90%. We're a first mover here. We're in about 100 handheld devices across 20 brands right now, with about another 50 to be released by the end of the year. We're now in slates and tablets, and you'll start to see those devices grow very rapidly with touch. So we feel like we're doing quite well with it, and next year will be a cover glass on a frameless television. So we're quite excited by it. We think we could approach $1 billion in sales next year.
Wow, you know, and earlier this week I was at Qualcomm, and we talked a lot about intellectual property and protecting your inventions from competition. I'm going to assume Corning's got a lot of protection on this type of stuff so that cheap imitations can't just enter the market?
Well, unfortunately, the original process we invented back in 1962 no longer has the protection, but we're actually applying it to a new glass composition, and that does have protection.
Let's talk about the markets in general. Obviously, we talk about flat panel sales, cell phone sales, et cetera. Jim, you guys are at the forefront. Maybe a lot of people don't realize that. How do you see consumer spending? How do you see the market for consumer electronics right now?
Consumer electronics has been incredibly strong so far this year. The only weakness that actually we've seen all year long has been only recently in the last month or so in the U.S. But around the world, for example, LCD television, where most of the glass goes, this year in Japan, we've been averaging up in the 30 to 40%. China, similar kinds of numbers. Europe, we just got the month of June, for example, where the sales were up 35% year over year. So LCD television's been very strong. IT has been very strong. It's clearly a comeback from the recession as businesses have begun spending again, refreshing their equipment. The consumer is continuing to do well. So we're looking for overall volume in the LCD glass business, going to these devices, to be up year over year in the upper 20% zone.
So from Corning's point of view, at least vis-a-vis consumer electronics, are we getting stronger as a nation? Is the economy recovering?
Yes. We think we're in a mild recovery overall. In some product areas, the growth is much stronger, and obviously consumer electronics is one of those. And clearly Corning is benefiting from that.
Jim Flaws, Vice Chairman and CFO for Corning, joining us to talk about Gorilla Glass, some old, new technology, and the state of consumer spending. Jim, it was a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. All right, just a reminder, folks, you can always follow me on Twitter, Brian T.